Hello everybody, Gail here. How are you today? I hope you're all well. We're doing good. I'm here today to share a journal. I created this for the Spring Inspiration 2026 Junk Journal collaboration. It's being hosted by Lidia of Raindrop Lila. What she has done is gathered 30 days. There are 30 days in a month, so there is an inspirational journaling prompt or creative journaling prompt for each day of the month of April. She did this back in January, and I was invited to be a part of that, and that was a lot of fun. I was very honored, and I'm honored that she has asked me to be part of this collaboration also. So thank you, Lidia. Thank you very much. I have a day, which is the 22nd, and my prompt is nature. Lidia has a new collection of printables, and they're known as Floral Pastel. There are different kits in that collection, and I've probably drawn paper from almost every kit in that collection. Plus, there is another one called French Country that was part of the choices we had for this collection, and I have a couple images from that too. Now, every collaborator has one day where they follow the prompt of that day, but also anyone who wants to hop in and create along on this collaboration is more than welcome. Just if you create something or some things, just use the hashtag Spring Inspiration 2026, and that way, whether you're on Instagram or YouTube, you can be found by other creators, and maybe something you're doing is going to inspire someone else. And that's what this is all about, inspiration and creativity. I'm honored to be amongst a group of ladies that are so multi-talented. I feel like they put me to shame, but I do my best, and I hope that you're going to like the journal. So let's get into it. Oh, I will have all the links, all the relevant links will be in the description box below. There will be a list of all the collaborators. There will be, with links, there will be a link to Lidia's shop and her collection. Lidia is also offering a freebie on her Ko-fi site, and in that freebie is some discounts, or a discount. And I think it's a good one. I think it's like 30% just for the month of April. So if you get a chance, check that out. And I think that is it for links. So let's look at my journal. I did a Ringbound journal this time. I hadn't done one in a while and thought I was in the mood. So I felt like nature being my creative prompt was fairly easy for me. I love all things in Mother Nature. I love, the birds, the bees, the dragonflies, the butterflies. I love the rain. I love flowers blooming. Spring is my favorite time of the year, when everything comes to life after a long cold winter. So I really enjoyed this prompt. On the cover of this journal, what I did was, this is one of Lidia's, she has a collection of cabinet cards. There's a kit of cabinet cards in this collection, and the insides are blank, but so you just have the different pastel colors of the card itself. And what I did is I cut the center out, and I replaced it with this image. And then what did I do? Oh, then you won't be able to, I don't think, you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but I did some dry embossing, which I haven't done in so many years. I don't even remember last time I did this, but dry embossing is fun. It's like, the old vintage postcards where you can rub your hands over them and feel the raised surfaces? Well, that's what dry embossing is. And what I did to achieve that is I took a soft surface. I think I had a piece of foam, and I took this image, I flipped it upside down, and on the back I used a stylus. Let me get mine. I used this kind of stylus with a little ball on the end, and so I just rubbed over it with a slight pressure. I didn't want to rip through. This is cardstock, but you still could rip through it if you press too hard. And what that does is it raises the surface on the other side. So all of the eggs in the nest and this flower, and there's a couple flowers up here, they're all embossed. Sorry you can't see it, but I can feel it. I have some little rhinestones down here at the bottom. I also added this clip. It's really not holding anything on. It's purely for decoration. And, oops, I have some rhinestone chain, and so I used some resin and attached them to this clip, and then I just thought it looked cute, clipped on the cabinet card. Over here, I just did a little, I never know what to call them. I kind of call them doodads. There is a gathering of some dotted Swiss netting and some 1/4-inch seam binding that I dyed. There are a number of laces in this journal. They're either usually this color or lavender, lilac color, and I dyed those using acrylic paint and water. I made a little bow, added that on top of the little doodad. And let's see what else. I added a bulb pin and this little butterfly charm. I think, oh, and then here's some of the dyed lace. And I put that underneath the cabinet card to edge the front page, or the cover. All right, so when you open it, and by the way, I've used other images in this journal. I've used some images from me, a number of images from Graphics Fairy, and some book page images. On the inside front cover, I just love how this turned out. I'm going to remove the tag for the moment. This is one of my favorite backgrounds in this collection. So what I did here was, this is some scrim I had that I dyed, and I just love the way all the edges got all wonky and folded over, and I didn't want to iron it or straighten it out down here too. So on this side, I just made like a little pleat, I guess you would say, and just did some little hand stitching, some little cross stitching, and some little running stitch to hold it there. I really didn't want to glue it down. And then this has got like a little rough edge that I really liked. Then I added another little doodad on top of that, some more of the dotted netting, and this is just a lavenderish, lilac-ish seam binding. I did not dye that. And then I've got like a little netting chiffon flower. It came off of some trim, and then another little like plastic flower, I think. I think it's plastic. I don't know if it's vintage or not. I'm not sure where it came from. It just happened to be in a box somewhere in my collection of stuff. And then this, I love this. This butterfly, actually this is a pink butterfly, and on the back there is a purple butterfly. And I was inspired to create this from Tony at, is it Crafty by Tony? I think it's Crafty by Tony. She didn't make this exact thing, but she gave me the idea with these head pins. I found them in the sewing section. I'm not sure what they're called. But she did some, and she added some beads to them. And I was really inspired by that. So what I did was I resined the front of each butterfly. When that was hard, I turned it over to the back. I laid the pin down in between the butterfly wings, like under the butterfly body. I guess I get a glare on each side. Under the body, and then resined that so that the pin would stay. And I just really love the way it turned out. I just love it. And so I thought a good spot for that was to tuck right in here. Let's come up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. There are some of these little sayings throughout the journal, and those came from Sweet Pea Curiosities. It was one of her latest printables. It was like phrases and washi tape, something like that. Sorry, brain fog is just not fun. And then I created a tag to go inside. Just did a little velvet tab on the top. Some handmade paper that I embossed, wrapped a little bit around to the back. This was just, what's the word, serendipitous find. It was a button in my vintage button box. And it already had, let's see if I can get, it already had a green thread in it. So, of course, I had to add it there. And then this is just a little, I've got a strip of labels I bought somewhere, probably Amazon or who knows. And added that here. Tuck that right in the pocket. On this page, I used a page out of a book. I think it's called The Fragrant Garden. It's one of those books that come in a box, like you would present as a gift. I've had it for a number of years and have used a number of the images in it. And I layered that on top of some coffee filter ruffle that I learned how to do from the multi-talented Miss Doty of Dorothy Jane and or Lace Girl 130. Then this is some crepe paper ruffles that I purchased already ruffled. Inside the pocket, I added this postcard image. I do believe that's Graphics Fairy. I digitally added the dragonfly and the ladybug. And then this I found pressed between some tissue paper. So I have no idea how long it's been there. I know it came from my yard, but I don't even recall what it might be. Could be a weed for all I know. The background is Lydia's paper. All of my, as usual, all of my journal cards and tags usually have a background you can journal on. On this page, I just fussy cut around the top of this. This was a whole sheet of paper, and I fussy cut around the roses and made a little up-tuck pocket. And then I had this, I believe is Graphic Fairy, and I just thought it went well. Some more of Lydia's. It went well with this image. Over here, what I did. Let me take this out a moment. This image I did not want to cover up because some of you know I have a thing about swans. And so what I did was I printed it twice and then I cut out, I fussy cut part of the swan, not the whole thing. And let me see if I can show you in the camera. If I can hold this without it falling apart. So I fussy cut. I started here, and I fussy cut here, and fussy cut around the swan, and down the swan, and then right here on the water, I just cut straight across, and then I fussy cut up around the back wing, and then again straight across. So this part is all. This is not fussy cut here. Let me see if I can show you better right here. So that made a pocket. So when you stick this tag in, you can see here, you can see right here, that is not fussy cut around the rest of the swan. And it goes over here. So I love the way that turned out. When you take it out, you don't really even notice that it's there. So kind of like a hidden pocket. And then this actually is, when you turn it to the other page, this is actually a journal. Let me show you the journal, and then I do have some of my Velcro dots to help keep it shut. And this is just a writing journal, basically. I did add a couple book pages. This I thought was appropriate. It's called The Retired Gardener, and it is a book from the 1700s. So I added that, and then I just added blank pages, some colored pages, some pretty papers, a French book page, lined paper, just sewed it, and just the other side of all of that. So plenty of writing space in here. You can write on here, you can add pictures, you can add pockets, whatever you would like to do. And then that just closes with, now this Velcro dot is close to the edge, but I really didn't want to cut the papers down any smaller, so it does work. Just give it a little push. Then on top of this, I created this pocket. This was an image, and I think this could be Graphic Fairy. It was blank on the inside, it was just white. So I cut that out, and I took this swan image from Lydia's kit, and I attached it to the back and just made a pocket out of it. And then I tucked in this tag and added, this is some of my dyed seam binding. It's 1/4 inch seam binding. And put some pretty paper on the back. So this could be journaling on the front and the back. Added some lace trim at the bottom. This is not vintage. Over here, I used one of my collage sheets from one of my kits. I just thought the colors worked really well, and it had a moth or butterfly in it. It had a bunny with a little butterfly in it, and the purple flowers, and the purple envelope, and flowers in the image here. What is that? Like a doily. It's an image of a doily. So I just thought that worked really well, the colors. And then, so inside I tucked one of Lydia's ephemera cards. Whoops. I added one of the Tim Holtz paper clips at the bottom just to keep everything in. And then this little journaling card with one of the sayings on it, and some more of Lydia's paper on the back. And then this is just a scrap of some of my watercolor doodling. I tucked that in. This tuck is actually from the page on the other side. I just folded it. This is the background here. Let me take that out. So I just took that page and folded it over to this side. Made a little tuck. I've put 2 pockets, side pockets here. Both of these I have hand dyed. And then this is one of Lydia's ephemera pieces, and I tucked that inside there. And then this beautiful rose and the pink cabinet card I absolutely love. And I love pink and green as well as lavender and green, so I tucked that in there. And I thought went very well. Over here, on this page, this is from Lydia, one of Lydia's papers. I cut out, well, no, I laid the paper down, and then again I printed the paper again and cut out just this part of the paper and made a side tuck pocket. And then this is, I believe this is one of my images, from one of my kits. Look at the little bee, isn't he cute? And then this is a scrap of Lydia's paper from her kit. And then just some seam binding, a little ribbon, bow and ribbon. I did not dye that. That came that color. And so I tucked that inside that pocket. You could tuck something else in there that didn't have the ribbon on it, and then it would be like a, what do you call it? A secret pocket, a hidden pocket. Be like a hidden pocket. I added this little fussy cut bee down here at the bottom, and down here I have a bulb pin on this vintage lace. It came off the edging of a large table cover, I think, and then just a little dragonfly charm. When you turn the page over, I cut this circle out with my die cutting machine, and I added 2 little holes and threaded some more dyed seam binding. I got some seam binding. It's 1/4 inch. I didn't realize it was 1/4 inch when I got it. I ordered it online, and of course I wasn't paying attention apparently. But I found that it has really come in handy, so I'm glad I got it. And I made a pocket tuck out of it, added some Sari silk I had in this color, and the background, of course, is Lidia's. And then this is, again, from my little book. This is a page out of that. And then this is one of Lidia's images. On this page, I really didn't want to cover this up and put a pocket on it. And on this side, these were two separate pages. And on the backs, I didn't care for what was on the back, so I didn't really want to see them. And so I didn't want to put a pocket on either one. So what I did was I made a pocket in the center and another hidden pocket. I almost forgot it was a pocket. And then on this page, I had some of this quilt scrap, which I think is so pretty. Let me pull this up. And here I have another resined piece. It's just a circle I cut and stacked them to give them some depth, and resined it, and then I think I put a couple coats of resin on it, and then while the last coat of resin was still wet, I had this little teeny tiny bee charm, and I laid that in the resin, and I love the way that came out. I've added a little floral trim and some vintage lace. Made that corner pocket there, and then this is one of Lidia's ephemera pieces. This is from one of my kits, I think. Could be Graphic Fairy, but I think it's from one of my kits. And then this is one of Lidia's, all the beautiful blue butterflies. So I thought the butterflies went well with the butterflies over here. When you turn the page, this is just a simple little pocket here, but again, the swan image, because I love swans, and just a little bit of lace there. And then I tucked in this and this image, both from Lidia's kits. And then on this page, what I did was, there is a piece of lace under this white piece, but I actually attached that to the white piece, and that is now a pocket. So the card is actually going behind this lace piece because it's attached to this one. And this, I am not sure. I don't know where this came from. I think it's off of a piece of clothing, but I only have scraps, so I'm not 100% sure. I did add a little strip of pink velvet here, and then I had a little tiny ruffle out of this pink gingham, and I liked the way it looked there. And then I found a little charm in one of my boxes, added a bulb pin, thought that worked well. And then over here, another one of those little labels. Then I made a little tiny pocket out of it. And here's another one of the labels with the butterfly on it. And then these are just some floral stickers. And I thought those fit in there just right. And then when I turn the page, oh, let's go back a one. I've added this little image. It's from one of my kits. And then this is one of Lidia's. I thought that one fit the nature theme very well. Then when we go over to this page, these images are from an old vintage magazine that I have. This is some of my dyed lace I just put down here. And this paper clip is actually holding this together because this was an envelope. Excuse me, I had to adjust my chair. This was an envelope that I kind of deconstructed, if you will. And so it opens up as a flip. And this is a pocket right here. That's the inside of the envelope. And then inside that I tucked this little journaling card. Pull this over. This flips over. I just did a fussy tear on this little rabbit I found in one of my books, because I have a thing about rabbits too. And so journaling space, open it up this way, you've got journaling space. This is, you can see the structure of the envelope there, but you could also take this and you could open it like this and have journaling space all the way across. So I like the way that turned out, and this is just to keep it from flipping open when you flip the page. Then on this side, I just did a simple little corner tuck. I think this is Graphic Fairy, and I love this background. I'm a huge hydrangea lover. Hydrangeas and peonies, top 2 on my list. And then this is one of Lidia's images, and I thought the colors just worked so well with this whole background. This is just some chiffon ribbon I had, so I just tied a big bow in it and added some floral trim at the bottom and tucked it right in there. And then on this side, I printed this on cardstock and then fussy cut it and made a corner tuck out of it. I think this is Graphic Fairy. Can't quite remember, but I think it is. And then at the top, I just took some seam binding I had in that color and kind of just scrunched it up on the top for like a messy kind of ruffle. That's not a ruffle. Then I had this image. That's, I love this image. I think that's Graphic Fairy. And on the back, there's journaling, but there's also a hidden pocket, journaling space and a hidden pocket. So that just slips right in there. And then on this side, we have a rabbit. This is from her French Country. This and the swan image, they're both from her French Country kit. This is an envelope that I've had in my stash for quite a while. I was experimenting with printing on envelopes, which I like. I just don't do it enough. And this one had messed up, part of it messed up. So I just cut the messed up part and kept this, threw it in my stash drawer and found it. And so I just split open what was left of the envelope and just made a journaling space on the inside and on the back. Added a little vintage lace, some Amity Bloom tape, and tuck that right up here. And then when you flip this open or over, we have another journaling card. I think this is Graphic Fairy. And then when you turn it over, this flips up for journaling, but it flips up again for journaling. And then this is just a vintage crocheted doily piece I had, and I think I had stained it a long time ago. So I just thought it worked. What did I have it attached to? Oh, I know. I had it attached, excuse my arm. I had it attached there. And then this opens to another journal. More of the Velcro dots. And again, just the French papers, different colored papers, Retired Gardener. This one's got a little pocket in it. That's the center. I love this. I don't have much of this left. This I purchased. I did not do that. Okay, this is the other side of all those papers. And again, some Amity Bloom washi tape. All right. So then we have the last page, and what I did here was some more Amity Bloom washi tape. I fussy cut one of Lidia's butterflies, and then I have some rhinestone. They're not rhinestones. It's like a rhinestone chain, but they're little itty bitty, teeny weeny little pearls. And so I added those onto the tail of the butterfly on this tag pocket. This actually is a flip that flips open. And then this is part of that envelope, that part of this envelope. I had to cut out the bad spots, so this was left, and this flips down, and so you've got journaling spot there, and it is a tuck behind that. And what I did here was, these are some collage strips from one of my collections, and I just thought that they fit the nature scene so well, and so I just cut those out, journaling on the back if you like, and just put those behind that pocket. And then this, I love how this turned out. This is a button. It's a little bunny button. I've got several, and I've had them forever, and I never used them. So with this clip, what I did was I cut the shank off the button, and then I just resined, because this is metal, so I just resined that to this clip, and it worked out so well. And so I just used it here to hold those in. So that's it. That is my Ringbound journal, and I love the way it turned out. I think it's beautiful, and it's beautiful because Lidia's kits are just gorgeous. Her background pages are to die for. So thank you for all the inspiration, Lidia. I hope you all like this journal as much as I love it. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for hanging out with me if you made it to the end. And I hope all of you all have a great day wherever you're at. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.